Okay. Listen, y'all, it's Sunday. I don't even think I usually even go live on Sundays, but I haven't in a while. So it's kind of like my chore day. I'm trying to, you know, just get everything in order before I start having fun again. But it's also a 3-day weekend, so I tried to be as on time as I could. However, basically today I am bringing on another guest. I'm going to bring on Virginia Sharp of the Bunny blog. So I'm just waiting for her to show up because usually I'll send a message to see if they're ready. But he's talking about fun, right? Fun. Before I go back to like having actual fun, trying to like do laundry and stuff, but also trying to fit in this Facebook Live because we wanted to talk about the imposter syndrome today. And like I said, usually I'll like shoot my guest host a message, but then I was realizing like what time it was. So I was like, maybe she was already waiting on me, and I was like just getting out the shower. As you can see, I'm like pretty much fresh faced. I just got on like a little bit of lipstick. So, again, we're waiting on her to show up so that we can start today's discussion. I don't know if I can... I'm always, like, kind of confused about how this works because I just started doing these. So, oh, there she is. I just invited her, and then, all right, there we go. Okay, hey, girl. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, 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 good. As I was explaining to the watchers, I'm like, I'm trying to do like 1,000 things at once. And then just because I just started doing these Facebook lives with people, I'm not that familiar as to how this works. So, yeah.
Me either.
There's like usually a delayed reaction because I'm like, I tagged the person, and then it's like, I added the person, and then I was like, you added me. It was weird. But anyways, I've already.
I know. I was like, I'm trying to add you at the same time you added me, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't go live. What is this?
Right. I definitely don't go live on Sunday, so I was like, all right, I'm on like time limit because I'm like trying to do laundry. I'm like, let me eat something, like So, anyways,
my door because Sundays is usually my house day, so I had to lock my door because if not, like 4 kids will be running in and out of here. Like, so what you doing?
Exactly. So we know that that's probably the case for most people. So we won't hold up too much of your time. Hopefully this doesn't run over 30 minutes. But we definitely wanted to come and talk to you about this today because it is very important, especially because a lot of my Facebook friends, a lot of Bunny's Facebook friends are in business as such as we are. And, a lot of times we go through the same stuff. We do. That's one way we can relate is because we're all in business and we go through the same type of stuff. So what we wanted to talk about today was microwave say 344. What we wanted to talk about today is the imposter syndrome. So basically what I know to be the imposter syndrome per reading books, so on and so forth is kind of like the imposter syndrome is like how you feel when you don't feel like you're actually credible enough to be speaking on your subject or teaching other people, coaching people, charging people money for your knowledge. You don't feel like you're actually an expert or you're credible enough to be doing that yet. So you kind of downplay yourself. A lot of times it causes people to quit and stop doing what they're doing. So you see a lot of stop and go action in regards to some people that are in business because of the imposter syndrome. And typically or traditionally, that's what that means and that's what that refers to. Is there any other understanding that you have, Bunny?
No, that's the same understanding that I have. It's just basically individuals. I actually put up the definition. It's just individuals that are marked by the inability to internalize their accomplishments. So a lot of times when people feel like what they done, like exactly what you said, when people feel like what they've done is not enough, or when people feel like their accomplishments don't add up to the expectations of other people, a lot of times they internalize that and they portray to be someone that they're not. And a lot of times it's like what you said, when people do stop and start or they constantly switch lanes, or they're switching gears, or they're doing things that's not necessarily pertain to them. That's in my experience when I see a lot of the imposter syndrome. A lot of people who you know, they say, oh, I do this, I do that, but then when it comes down to it, they can't deliver because that's not really a part of what the services that they offer are a part of who they are.
Right. So I think we've all suffered from that one way or another, just feeling like we're not there yet. We're not, you know, we don't need to be doing or trying to help other people because we're still trying to help ourselves, when we do have to stop and understand that life is a journey. You're never going to be probably where you are or ready for what it is that you have to do and deliver on. So just kind of wanted to send a little bit of motivation out there, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't, to let you know that, you know, you definitely want to, like she said, internalize those accomplishments and realize that you are worthy to be doing what it is that you're doing, except, which brings us to today's actual topic. So we kind of, I don't want to say we fooled you, but we kind of reeled you in so we can actually talk about what we wanted to talk about at hand in regards to this. So, except when you are actually not credible in doing what you're doing. So we see a lot of this going on, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of other people besides me and Bunny that notice this and that this has happened to. That's okay, except when you are actually not knowledgeable in what it is that you're putting out there, and you're constantly switching lanes because you really don't know what it is that you want to do. And what you do instead is you follow a lot of trends. You're you know, stealing a lot of other people's content, and you're not being real to who it is that you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be delivering here on this earth. So I see a whole lot of that going on, and that's kind of like that other side of the imposter syndrome, where imposters do really exist, and those would be the type of people that I would classify as imposters, are people that don't actually know what it is. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Okay. No, I was just going to kind of piggyback off of what you said. I want a lot of people to understand that in business, when you are, in my situation, it's like, it's not a lot of people that, well, in both our situations, not a lot of people who are in the same lane. So a lot of times you get compared to other people, or you can get compared to other businesses, and you have to be secure in who you are and what you provide. And when people say, oh, well, you don't do this service, a lot of times people are like, oh, well, yes, I do. When in reality, that's not a service that you offer. It's okay to say no. A lot of people who have the imposter syndrome, they have a hard time saying no. They say they don't often say like, I can't do this, or that's not my lane, but I can refer you to someone that it is. So a lot of times the imposter syndrome comes from being compared to other people who are in the same industry as you, and people pretend or front like they have this pull, or they have this play, or they can make these things happen, when in reality it's not true. You just think that that's something you're supposed to do because someone else does it.
And you know what I think the two connect to, because it's kind of like, for those people that actually do know what they're doing, they may not have as much of a large following. So they're just trying to get started, but they may actually be credible or be the person that can help you. And so I think that, you know, where the original definition comes in, I think that the issue stems from people that are actual imposters. I think that someone that doesn't have a large following and they are credible, when they see someone show up or pop up with the same type of service offerings or whatever it is that they just put out 3 days later, that's going to make somebody doubt themselves and say, okay, because they're looking at somebody's following that has more following than them, it's going to make the person that actually does know what they're doing feel like, oh, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this, because guess what? People aren't going to be paying attention to the person that doesn't have a large following. They're going to pay attention to the person that has a large following, and that's just where influence comes in. However, not knowing, and this happens a lot, because it's happened to me, I think it's happened to Bunny, and people think you don't notice this stuff, not knowing that they actually stole that content from probably the person that's sitting there feeling invalid about their content now. I know what my content looks like, what my voice sounds like, so I'm easily able to spot if I post something a week before and somebody steals the same exact blog post, or like, come on. That's not.
And I think it's crazy because Yeah, I think it's crazy because in our line of work, a lot of what we do is networking. A lot of what we do is build and help other brands and work together. You know, if we wouldn't get to where we are or where we're headed if we don't work together with other brands. Exactly. So it's not like you can't just reach out and say, hey, you know, do you mind if I use this content, or can I borrow this, or can we kind of help each other out, or can you show me how to do this? I would rather you approach me with something like that rather than to just take an idea or something that I've had or something that I've posted or shared or written and just use it as your own. Like, that's a whole different lane other than you coming to me asking me and saying, hey, can you show me how to do this? And then I see you take that content and use it. Like that's what we do. That's a part of our brand. But to just take it all together, that's a whole nother story. That's like disrespectful. That's like slapping somebody. You can't do that. You just can't do that.
It really is. I mean, we're a prime example right now. This is something we both wanted to talk about. We could have just each put out a blog post about it or a Facebook Live by ourselves, but we decided to come together. Like, hey, you know what? That'd be something I'd be interested in speaking on. It's real easy. It's simple, people. Like, all you got to do is just, even with Rachel Simone, I've done a couple lives with her, but I had noticed last year that me and her both were, you know, kind of like passionate about mental health. So like, why wouldn't I, instead of just, you know, let me be scared and like guard my content. 9 times out of 10, you are going to end up with similar type content, but why not just collaborate, you know, for a greater cause? Because we're both doing it for a greater cause. So what's the issue with collaborating? I do love that people are starting to collaborate more. I am starting to see that a whole lot, but I just want to say, like, make sure, even in collaboration, because I've had other people that I'm, you know, friends with in the business world where people have stolen their stuff. You know, they pretend that they want to collaborate, and they find out everything that you're going to do for the year, and then they run off with your idea. It makes people scared. It's a double-edged sword. It makes people scared to collaborate with people because that's happened to them.
And I want to kind of put emphasis a little bit on the collaboration part. A collaboration is not necessarily, sometimes people do collaborations for something in return. They do it, you know, I do this for you and you do this for me. And sometimes, depending on the conversation in business, it'll just flow. Like, you know, you may end up doing something for somebody just because you want to help them. But I want people to understand that you don't go into a collaboration with an empty table. You cannot come to me and say, I want you to do this for me, and then expect me to not send you my prices, or expect me to promote and encourage or do these things just out the kindness. Like, if you talk to me and that's something that I want to do and I want to help you with, that's fine. But don't go into a collaboration expecting something in return. It just doesn't happen like that. I just had, I didn't even have a chance to tell you about this, but I had a recent situation where I literally had to just take someone off of all of my social media because I came to them, similar how you came to me, with an idea, and, you know, like, we're on the same page, let's just work together, let's do this. I had an idea, and they took that and they ran with it with someone else. So it's like what you said, you have to protect your content. You know, they approached, they took the entire concept and ran with it with someone else, because it's like you said, a lot of people with more followers or with a bigger fan base, they're going to get a lot more attention a lot quicker than you would if you don't. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're doing. You know, if you go look at what they're doing and then come back to what I'm doing, you're going to be like, look, that you got steak, that's chicken Alfredo. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing. But instead of just coming and reaching out and trying to collaborate or seeing where we can meet ends and make it work for the both of us, they literally just took the idea and ran. So this happened within the last 2 days. So I was so glad we had this live coming up.
Wow. So shout out to that person. You should be ashamed of yourself now. But no, seriously, I'm always
absolutely.
Look, what I got on this hat today. I'm always very sad to hear that. Like I said, I was talking to another blogger friend, you know, in the blogger sphere. She's known, and she was telling me, like, same thing. She thought this person was her friend. They had built a rapport for like months, and I'm always just so sad to hear when stuff like that happens, because I'm actually just a guarded person. So I've done a lot of things on my own, which is probably why my following's not where it could be. But I mean, I'm very aware of that. You know what I mean? Because of stuff like this, I hear stories from other people, and it makes me very guarded to even, you know, I do things out of the kindness of my heart. So I feel like I'm going to be Misha regardless. I'm gonna do what I do. But then I will say no eventually. I know how to say no. You know, I went through a lot of things when I was back in Detroit, so I understand, but it doesn't even just happen there. You know, the person I was talking to is not even Detroit based. So, it's just very sad that we can't be honest about things. Everything's not a competition. And I think that it definitely comes down to that whole women, you know, we think we're in competition about everything. And I think that's why a lot of people, you know, they try to have these women empowerment events because they're trying to help us get away from that. But even with the events, you go to the events and it's clicked out and it's the same. And it's just like, I don't really know what y'all trying to do. But it's not even just us, though. I mean, you have men that'll try to compete with you. It's just a dog-eat-dog world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, my recommendation for anybody that is looking to collaborate, me and you we're doing a Facebook Live, so I sent out a calendar request. That was basically my agreement with you, like, hey, we're both going to be available at this time. But when you start to get into projects, get it in writing. That's my advice to everybody. Get it in writing.
I always say, you know, send me an email, because an email, you know, I can look at it. I can see where you're benefiting from it and where I'm benefiting from it. Sometimes, like, collaborations are not necessary if you're not going to benefit from them. Don't reach out to somebody and with the hopes of collaborating with them and you're not going to benefit from it. Exactly. You know, there's a lot of people who, like, I have experience